Another turning point, a fork stuck in the road. Time grabs you by the wrist, directs you where to go. So make the best of this test and don't ask why. It's not a question, but a lesson learned in time. It's something unpredictable, but in the end, that's right. I hope you had the time of your
It's a
life.
great song, Jody. I love that song. It's great.
Yes.
I don't think actually, maybe one other person may have done that song, but it's a great song. I love that. Thank
All
you.
right.
All right.
It's a
Well,
little coming of age,
yeah,
like
for sure it is. Welcome to the construction life.
thank you, Manny.
We're
Thanks for having
so
me.
yeah, we're so glad to have you on. I know we spoke briefly on the phone when the boys were here, and we were talking about bricking. But they're the ones that brought you up, and they also brought up Joe as well. And I like what you guys are doing with yourself and Joe, and what they're doing, and everybody's understanding that you're a tradesperson. You've got to kind of have this still connection, right,
Yes.
to the next generation that's going to come in and take over for what you started. So that's what we're going to talk about with you. It's going to be a very cool talk. I'm looking forward to it. We've got a lot to talk about. You've been in this business, or I would, you know what? You've been a part of our business. I'm going to say
Wow,
you're
thanks.
totally a part of our business. You're not just at the high school level. You're contributing to the construction industry, which is massive, and we need more Jodys out there. Lots of more
All
Jodys
right.
out there. So let me share the deets here. So Jodi Churney is here, Department Head of Co-op Studies at Wilfrid Laurier in London Secondary School. To reach her, her email is j.churney at tvdsb.ca. And also on Instagram, find them at SWLSSCOOP. That's what I got it
Got it.
all right. I think I got it right.
You
No
did.
rehearsal, no
Yes.
nothing. Let me do a couple of quick shout outs. I'm wearing Huracan Construction. Yeah, Huracan Renovations t-shirt. So shout out to him, and they're doing great work. I like what he was doing on his recent project. And then I also want to do another shout out to Clint Young of FS Fieldstone General Contracting. Clint's been on the show before. He's doing some great work, and I just want to do a shout out to him. You can reach out to him at FS Fieldstone. His number is 905-213-9089. His email is fsfieldstone@hotmail.com. His website is www.fieldstonegeneralcontracting.com. And of course, you can catch his show right here on this show, on show number 297. And I do want to say that he started a whole segment on TikTok about his Home Depot adventures, and there I can see the potential behind them. So Clint, enjoy, and I look forward to seeing more of those Home Depot adventures. Jodi, where would you like to begin?
Um, I think I have the best job in the world.
Awesome.
I teach young people, and in the year they launch. So they leave high school very uncertain about what's ahead. And I love that age. Most of my career, I've taught grade 11 and grade 12 and grade 13s. And it's my favorite. Because they're just so uncertain about where they want to go, and I just can't get enough of that. So I feel lucky and privileged.
Have they, I mean, you've been there teaching, seeing these kids grow for 2 decades plus. I'm as much as I want to say that they've changed, but they haven't changed. Like, I mean, there's a reason why Breakfast Club, for argument's sake, for the movie, there's always those kinds of people or those kinds of kids in high school situations, right? There's always, so I'm
Yes,
assuming that that's still the case today, right? Like when the kids are
100%.
like, I got out of high school in 89. Yeah, I'm that old. So I got out of high school in 89, and it was still the same then. So there was those segments of people in the high school environment. And you started wondering who's going to go into construction, who's going to be an accountant, who's going to be a doctor, who's going to be like, you try to figure out, but that's what you have a huge say in that, right?
I do. I do. And I think I have a huge say in it, but I think our the ebb and flow of our society really does kind of dictate because in the 20 plus years that I have been doing this, there's been a change, a swift change in what we're saying to kids is a viable career option. And in the first part of my career, the trades weren't really talked about. And now in the last part of my career, we're really very clearly talking about the trades being a pathway. because there are jobs there. And I'm I, I'm just not sure like why that is, because I've heard other speakers on your show say that a lot of tradespeople used to be family run businesses,
Yeah.
and that's not the case anymore. Our country is growing, our city is growing, our immigrants are influxing and not just coming from one or two countries. We are coming from all over the world, and we're building and we're growing. And we need to, our industry needs to kind of reflect that. So we are now telling students this is a good option. You will go make good money.
It's really interesting because I mean, 25 years ago, it would have all been tech talk. It would have just been tech-based career options leaving high school because we were headed towards the Y2K, right? That kind of,
Right.
and everything was starting to grow at that point, tech-wise. And I guess construction was pushed back. But now we're seeing a return of it because we're realizing that there is such a void in construction. And it's not that we're trying to be desperate about it. I think we're just trying to find kids that genuinely are interested in trades. And there's obviously 100 plus different trades out there. It's not just the standard ones that we know about regarding building on commercial, industrial, or residential levels. There's so many other types of trade associated careers that you can choose. So you're right now seeing, I guess, you're paying attention to the construction industry, and then you're paying attention to the pool of students that are there. And you're a scout trying to figure out which team to put them on. What's the best course of action for that team player, right?
Right. And some of them just don't know. They really don't know. So my best line for them is to buy yourself some time, because we spend our 20s kind of like just working, figuring it out, getting a piece of paper, a diploma, a degree, or whatever it is you're choosing. But in your 20s, you're just launching and figuring your life out. But I think my message to my students is, and no offense to entry retail, is that don't hide out in entry retail. Like, use the time wisely and gain experience towards something that is valuable. And the skilled trades are a pathway for that. So if you want to work in retail, just any retail, then that's fine. But think always about what it is you're working towards and setting goals. And so I do spend a lot of time telling kids that. And as soon as you say that, then kids think, oh, apprenticeships, like I could be working towards something. Like, I'll just work, but then I'm working towards something. Well, that makes sense. That's a win-win. And kids really buy that. If they can get something for something, then they really kind of hear that message really loud and clear. And a trade is really, really something that you can do that. You can work while working towards
Towards
something in a
something.
skilled trade.
Yeah. Are they, I mean, I was like this when I was younger. I'm young. I've got thousands of years of time. I have plenty of time. I don't have to worry about it, but I'll tell, and I've spoken to so many young people, you don't. Before you know it, you'll blink and your 20s are over, and then you have to try to figure out what you really want to do. And there's also course corrections when it comes to career options. And it could happen in construction as well. You can go in thinking one trade and you can end up in a different trade. So it's like, don't be dismissed because you were set on, by the time you made that decision, I want to go down this road in the trade, but it's not working out for me. But then there's another road that you could. And then we've also spoken about how there's all the admin side of it, the side of the business, the business side of the construction business. You don't necessarily need to be boots on the ground, and you're still contributing to the industry. I mean, we're still talking about trades, engineers, architects. Like, there's so many other options there that are connected to the trades.
All of them. And then even in like your sales industry, like
Yes.
selling a construction product, selling a construction tool, all of these spin-offs are viable career options for kids. And you know what? If it just means your boots are on the ground for the first couple of years when you're finished high school, then you're working towards something. And you will have gained experience and a reputation and a work ethic that won't be bad for you. Like, you'll use it no matter where you go.
So Jodi, what are they asking for? What are the top trades that they have this, I guess they have their perception on what they want to go into. So, I mean, I've seen it all the time in construction when you start talking to certain people. And obviously we've spoken quite a bit about the top three. So they'll get into HVAC, they'll get into plumbing, they get into electrical, but there's also a bunch that would want to get into framing or finish carpentry. And then there's the definition between those two. And obviously at the bottom, which we talked quite a bit about, is the harder trades, which are the masonry trades, the brick or the hardscaping and things like that. So what are the kids looking, where are they looking? Which are the ones that are appealing to them?
I think steer, typically we're following the same pattern that you're saying.
Oh,
So
really?
yes,
Okay.
I put students in the OEAP program. So I have students in my co-op program, and then we register them, and then we point them in the direction towards their trades. And the majority of students picked electrical and automotive. So from my program, that's what I saw. Um, but I also have like a connection with a community employer that has come in and spoke to my class um, who represents like the heavy truck industry, so in the automotive sector. So because I have guest speakers that are right close by and want to come in and speak to kids, they have come in and scooped quite a number of our students because the industry is so needing them. So I think when I make connections with businesses in the community and they can tap into me, we seem to kind of like really pull and steer kids. And of course, then the construction and then the laborers as well. So I have some kids that are working on construction sites just as laborers. And then even on Monday, I'm headed to the laborers union, the local in my city, to have like an education kind of an awareness and luncheon. But they're all working hard in London to kind of make each other seen.
It's funny, Jodi. It's like you're doing your own boots on the ground because you have to go speak to the employers to figure out what are you guys looking for, who you're looking for, what do you need. I know you want to expand your business, you want to grow, and that's what that was a great message from Ronald and Eric when they were here and we were talking with them, and they were embracing what you guys were doing, and they needed more of that. And in 20 years, I think in 10 years, they had 20 kids come through their
Mm-hmm.
business, and they were great about
Mm-hmm.
it. They were very grateful for it. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
you're doing the same thing. You're talking to these business owners to get insight into what they need.
I think that if I were to have one wish, I wish that employers would just call me.
Just reach
Like
out.
I wish, like just because when I know that there is such a need, I can't know everyone. So, like, if they just came to me, because now Google is a big world. And, like, I hate to say this, but I began my career looking in the yellow pages and it was not easy. But Google has, like, made my life so much easier. And really, I have to match a kid to where their community is, to where their home is, and where public transportation is.
Yeah.
Can they get to and from? So, there's a lot of pieces that have to come together. But if employers were to just come to me and I didn't have to cold call and I didn't have to kind of do that, I think it would just make my job so much easier. And I don't bite. Like I
No,
actually am
no.
quite friendly and super appreciative when employers do reach out. And when that call comes into our school, I'm like, oh, here's a company that really wants kids or they want kids. They recognize that it's free labor, and that's great. But at the same time, they're willing to kind of allow the time in their business to train a kid.
It's are they realizing, because I'm going to speak for the dinosaur parts of the business where you'll get the older trades that are running a shop and that's the last thought on their head. They are not thinking I should make a phone call to a high school to see if I have a future employee in store for me. They don't, that's not their thought process. But I'm noticing that the younger trades that are starting business or going on their own, they're being a lot more forward thinking, and they're probably reaching out more. I can only assume that that's the case because the old guys won't think to make a phone call to a high school.
They really, and
It's a shame, missed opportunity.
it is a missed opportunity. And one of the things that like does kind of mark a business is their presence on Instagram, TikTok, and how how visible they are
Yeah.
in a young person's world. And like older companies that haven't had to do that are missing out.
And then I can only assume the kids in high school level, they're all over social media. So, I mean,
All over.
yeah, so they pay attention to a lot of businesses that are out there, and they're probably already starting to plant the seed to kind of approach this person. So are you getting kids that are approaching you going, listen, I've been following this business. I really would like to be attached to this business.
Yes.
Can you kind of make the introduction or figure it out? Maybe they're a little too nervous to approach them or something. I get this all the time. Guys are too nervous to reach out to me and just DM me and talk to me. And I'm like, listen, I'm just like you guys. We're regular people. We're just having a conversation. So by all means, that's the reason why I got my number on all the posts and everything like that. So I want that connectivity so then people can realize, approach them.
Yes. Yes, you're absolutely right. And kids do follow the Instagram. They follow TikTok. And when they see it, because Instagram does and TikTok makes work look fun.
Yeah.
And most times what's posted on an Instagram looks pretty fun. And it's excellent marketing strategy for a company and a business. And it's very, very forward thinking. And like younger companies are catching on to that.
But all you kids listening, that's not the whole side of the business. I'm just going to say that's, we do, we're all guilty of it. We do show the glitz and the glam of construction, but then there's also the hard, very, very hard days, but very rewarding days. So there is that part of it, right?
I think, like when I have the kids in my co-op class, we talk about the ebb and flow of like work and how, at the beginning you're excited. So you're like climbing up the mountain and you go in every day and you're driven and you're learning something new. But then like everything, it becomes sort of mundane and it's like, the day in, day out. And then, you have a choice of fork in the road where you like, either stop performing or stop actually producing, or you ask for another challenge and your hill keeps climbing. So when I talk to kids about the boring middle part, that's the value of a co-op program when teaching kids. We really do teach them that there's a boring middle part to life. And like it's your job to make sure you spice up the before and after work.
Yeah.
And the middle of the middle of it looks a whole lot more fun when you have other things kind of happening.
Do more kids get the idea of approaching you and bringing up the conversation of the technology married to trades? Where, I know that construction doesn't move as fast as the rest of the world regarding tech-based products or things like that, but there's a lot of interesting, innovative things going on that are construction related. There's a lot of modular building going on. There's a lot of like technical know-how regarding how they're building things in different parts of the world. Are the kids opening up their minds to that side of the industry?
I think definitely. And this is also interesting because they also too are looking at sustainability, environmentalism. Like they want to build things that are sustainable and they want to like be a part of that evolution of like how can we use less waste and how can we make our growth and development more efficient. Like they're just hungry sponges and they come with ideas and like it's so inspiring to be connected to the young mind because they can't get enough. Like yeah.
Did you ever, Jodi, I'm sure you get this quite a bit, kids that are conflicted? They're not exactly sure if they want to get into trades or if they want to go down to another career choice, and you're balancing it? Or how do you communicate to a child like that's considering trades but not considering trades?
Some of it has to do with their parents' influence. So, mom and dad are in the background, with a pretty loud voice. Like kids really do have a lot of influence from their parents. So when that indecision kind of happens, kids go home and then they come back. They go home and then they come back. So mom and dad really do have a say. But some kids do have parents in the construction industry in some way, shape, or form that can have an influence on what direction they take, for sure. But the waffling, I think, is good because they don't have to make a decision like right now today. And I think they know that the industry itself is so needing skilled trades in all areas that they know that they have time to choose. So I may do a student on a construction site one semester, and then the next semester they want to do an automotive placement. Well, I thought I did. And that does happen because
Okay.
I know I want to work with my hands. And, I like cars and I like building. So they put a co op in to kind of see if they like both. And I think that's great that kids want to do that. And it's very, very common.
And is there, I mean, I want to get into your, I guess, relationship with OYAP, the Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program, and how that's working. But I also want to talk about how businesses can get on that list so then they can already be a preferred, not necessarily a preferred, but at least an option for a kid. But how many times can a kid choose? I mean, they're in their last year of school, I guess, and then they get as many as two times, or is it more than that?
So you can take, in my school, I've seen kids take three co ops, which is 2 credits each.
Okay.
Um, so that has been done. Some kids take two, so they may choose like 2 periods in the morning, 2 periods in the afternoon, and do a full day co-op.
Okay.
Those full day co-ops are very, very valuable. You guys in the trades love all day kids because when a co-op is a half a day, employers don't like the kids leaving the job sites after 3 hours.
Yeah.
It's a complete waste of time. So I'm trying to find creative ways to keep kids on the job site for more than 3 hours. So maybe they'll miss school for 2 days a week and do full 8 or 9 hour days. And then that's enough for the entire week. And then they catch up in the other days. So I'm doing some of that. So me pointing them in the direction of OYAP. OYAP is a unique program that really is just co-op.
Yeah.
So when people learn about OYAP, they learn about, wow, I want to work towards an apprenticeship. Okay, I can start that in high school. So really, all a kid needs to know about OYAP is take a co-op. That's it. I do the rest.
You'll
So
handle everything else.
I handle all the paperwork. So when you leave high school, you don't really have a bookie like me. So you're on your own to kind of go to an employer, express your interest, show your drive and determinism, and then your boss will say, "We'd like to offer you an apprenticeship," and then you contact the ministry, and then you sign a training agreement. But for OYAP, all of that happens in school, and your teacher handles it all. So I handle it all, and I send my paperwork to a contact at my board office, board level, and then we have a direct relationship with the ministry. So if a kid knows nothing about apprenticeships or trades, they just need to speak to their co-op teacher, and that's it. The rest should be well explained and well organized by the co-op teacher in their building.
And then I wanted to ask you about, I know that there's obviously stigmas in construction, and you've already mentioned it earlier on the show, that you're already giving them a heads up on it's not all that's glitz and glam. There's those boring parts. But I mean, we have come across some employers that have been told that certain schools or certain teachers are not painting the whole picture about trades. They're trying to guide kids away from trades. And that's been the problem for a few years, right? And how do we change that? How do we get them so then everybody, like, in my mind, every career option should be presented. So because you've got X amount of kids in a high school, not all of them are going to be tech geniuses and they're going to go down that path or whatever it is. So you should be prepared to have every option on the table for that kid to consider and then give them the best course to go down that route so they can achieve that. But how do we handle those schools? Because I'm hearing that there's a lot of schools in the Toronto area that are not really pushing kids to construction, to trades, and they should be. You guys are doing an amazing job, which I'm really amazed by it but the thing is, you guys are outside of the greater Toronto area. We're not hearing the exact same things going on here in Toronto.
Hmm. Well, I can say from this area, we have some very, very driven co-op teachers. So I'll make a pitch for us veterans in Thames Valley. There's a bulk of very, very active co-op teachers that are covering this part of southwestern Ontario. Thames Valley Board spans all the way from like Tillsonburg to Park Hill to Strathroy. Like it's a huge board we have. So we do have a large portion that's in the rural areas. So we cover a lot of manufacturing, a lot of a lot of farming
Okay.
and and a lot of industry. So we know that kids are going to end up in these jobs, and it's word of mouth. We are pretty active to kind of keep in touch with the students that graduate from us, and these kids talk and they talk to each other. So I think that's what's made it so contagious here in this part of Ontario is that kids talk and they talk about where they're going, what they've done. Like I had a student leave my program at the age of 18 and then bought his first house at 20, bought his second house at 22. And like he still keeps in touch with me. And like this kid was like determined. And like I'm super proud of him because
That's
he
amazing.
he also had tons of friends that were in the grades below him. And because of what he did, a lot of kids were kind of watching him do what he was doing and wanted that. So it's
You bring up a
contagious.
great point, Jody. It's really about the math at that point. Like, I mean, it's when
Yes.
you actually break it down and what it costs to be educated on a different career path versus construction, you're already paying off your student debt, what student debt is, so quickly versus other career options, right? So it's funny
Mhm,
that you brought
mhm.
up that one kid that's what he's doing or that's what he did and he pulled it off. So are you guys having those conversations with the kids? You are talking about the numbers because I'm assuming these kids are aware of what things cost. They are aware of what the average home is, what the average career, payout is, and what they can potentially retire at, and what they'll need. Are they asking all these questions? Are they getting
Oh
that?
my gosh, they
Yeah.
100% are. Like I have a student in my program right now, did a co-op last year, hired by his employer, and has worked for the last year. Did another co-op this year and was ready this year to graduate from grade 12. He chose an apprentice and like he chose a trade. His just happens to be auto, but he chose that trade. And the board and the ministry offered the level one certification. So these kids are getting their level one block release before they leave high school. So I
Wow.
know you guys in the trades understand that you're going to have a kid coming out of grade 12 with their level one complete, with sometimes like 4 8 like almost 1,000 hours towards their apprenticeship
Apprenticeship. Yeah.
before they even leave high school. So because the government is now offering these level ones for kids before they leave high school, these kids are already asking, how can I get my level two and how can I get my level three? So
Wow.
they know when they're in that level one program, what's coming next and how much is it going to cost me? And then someone just asked me the other day, Miss Churney, I think I'm not going to do block release next time. I think I'm going to do day release. I'm going to ask if I can switch from the block release stream to the day release so I can just keep working and not have any debt. And I was like, oh my gosh, you have this figured out. Like you are thinking forward about what's coming next,
Yeah.
and you know what your path is. So
I,
it's there.
I love it. I love it. Let me do a little bit of history and construction here. I just want to share something. The top construction companies in the world, and obviously there isn't any in Canada in this short list right now. But Vinci is out of France. Group ACS is out of Spain. And then there's one U.S. company, which is Bechtel out of San Francisco. And then there's Hochschiff out of Germany, and Skanska out of Sweden, and Balfour Beatty out of UK, and then Bouygues Construction again out of France. And then I wanted to ask you, Jody, which countries are growing construction the fastest? Imagine this. You're working on a construction project and accidentally damage a client's property. Without insurance, you could be held responsible for the repair costs. And what about unforeseen accidents that can happen on a job site? Construction projects come with their fair share of risks. If a third party gets injured, you could be facing medical expenses, legal fees, and even potential settlements. But with construction liability insurance, those expenses are covered, saving you from a significant financial burden. Every construction professional needs a margin of safety and a solid backup plan for when things go wrong. So, if you're a general contractor, renovation expert, or a construction professional, don't leave your business vulnerable. Nail down the low-cost construction and liability insurance you need and get a certificate of insurance quickly by getting a free quote now by visiting zensurance.com/save35. ZENSURANCE is Canada's leading source for small business and construction liability insurance. You could just take a guess.
Let me guess. What about Germany?
India.
India.
India is going to is growing the fastest right now. It's going to become the fastest construction superpower. UK set to be the fastest growing construction work in Western Europe, but India globally is growing the fastest right now. Which country is number one in construction as of 2023?
As of 2023.
Yeah.
So between India, UK, and is that what you're saying?
No, just globally. They're asking which is offering the most opportunities in construction regarding jobs. Australia is leading that right now.
Really?
They have the highest in-demand jobs in the country for bricklayers, stonemasons, general laborers, plumbers, electricians, plasterers, construction estimators, and construction managers. So there's a lot of stuff going on in Australia. Now, what is the fastest developing country in the world right now?
I'm going to say India.
India's on the list, but Uganda, Vietnam, Cambodia, India, Philippines, Nigeria, and Ethiopia. Mostly African countries, right? So that's a little bit of history. I wanted to... The OYAP program, I guess I know that you're not with OYAP, you're working with OYAP, you present to the kids, but I get the sense that OYAP, there's a lot of money being put into that program, and I don't know if it's the return on investment is worth it. So I don't want to get too political about that, but it's just like when I was told and I found out that OYAP got another $27 million for next year, it's a lot of money on top of 50 million. And I know that speaking to a lot of trades, because majority of the guests that have been on the show have been tradespeople. So they are dealing with those, they try to get more students out there and get into their job sites. They don't see the value in it. They're not seeing the return in it. And it's just, I keep hearing the kids are not being properly prepared to be on the job site. And I don't know if it's just the short-sightedness of the business owner or the tradesperson just thinking, forget it. But they probably are not thinking in the same respect. You're not giving them enough time. You and myself, listen, I was never the best the first year, the second year, the third year. I had great ideas, but I was never the best. I had to learn those. So it does take time. And we know that it's a 7 to 10 year process to get a kid that gets into construction to get to profitability status. Right. So it does take time. So I'm wishing that the business owners don't dismiss the kids fast enough. But I don't think that OYAP, for the amount of money that's being spent on it, is producing enough kids. I think that they should be producing tenfold, a lot more kids, because then we wouldn't be talking about shortages. We wouldn't be talking about any of that. We would be talking about infrastructure being grown, and we would be talking about Canada being on that list as a leader, which we totally have the opportunity to be, but we're not being that way. I just wanted to get your 2 cents on that.
So what I am seeing is my kids on job sites with people working on job sites with just alongside, workers that are waiting for their level 1s or level 2s or level 3s. So there's a bit of angst out there for my kids getting this leap ahead. And we call it like a scholarship. So OYAP level 1 certification is like scholarship for kids. So they're landing on job sites with their level 1, working alongside people that have been working for 5 years that are still waiting for their level 1s.
Got it. Okay.
And so I do feel bad because we're putting money into OYAP to get kids out of the gate, but then they're going onto job sites, working next to people that are waiting.
So they're not getting the best education to propel, basically.
Well, but I think that there's then bad blood between workers on the job sites that are waiting. Like I've been slugging it out here for 2 years, waiting to get my level 1 or my level 2.
Yeah.
And you're getting this handed to you coming out of high school, and I know 2 more years more than you. And yeah, of course I'm going to say, you know nothing, I know more. And I don't have my level one and you do. This is not right. There's something wrong with, like,
Uh,
we just haven't caught up. The job site hasn't caught up with, you know, the whole idea that we need to get kids out there to kind of get their level ones. And the industry just hasn't been kind to my students anyway. That's just my experience to kids, and often will try and talk them out of doing their level one or completing their level one, because they don't have enough experience. They won't know enough. And I don't know how I can fix that, because if you're on a job site, you're working with some guys, they tell you you don't know anything, but you're a kid and you don't know anything anyway. I don't know.
that's why I was saying that they need to be a little more open-minded, a little more forgiving, that we were not all geniuses when we got started. Okay. That I
No,
don't know one tradesperson that was, a genius on first day or first year. It takes time. It totally
it
takes
does
time.
take time, but we're pumping some pretty smart kids into the job
Yes,
placement rate.
for
Like,
sure.
I had just in my last co-op class, 3 kids that had university level education. So they took you all the way through and then flipped to the trade because dad owned a construction company. One of the kids, dad owns a construction company. Another kid, his dad is a certified tradesman. And both kids just have high levels of education coming out of high school, pretty smart, because you can't pass those U level courses if you don't have some level of intelligence. So we're pumping out some pretty smart kids, and these kids are doing the level ones with great success. So they're coming out of the level one block release and being trained by your tradespeople, and then sent out into the job site, and they're coming with some skill,
Yeah.
all that level one has to offer them.
Yeah. Are the kids coming back at you at some times and just saying, it's not for me? Or it's not the picture that they thought it was going to be about? Or are they coming back and saying, it's just way too hard? This is definitely not for me. I want to do something else.
Oh, I am hearing that it's hard,
Okay.
because so many of my kids for the OEAP level one wanted to keep doing their part-time jobs, but the daytime class is too long, and then the homework is even longer. So they're coming home with homework and staying on top of that homework, and there's tests, either like manual tests
Yeah.
and book tests.
Yeah.
And we asked the students when we went for a tour the other day, what's your best advice? And some kid in the back yelled, read the textbook.
Smart
And
ass.
that was in the electrical level one. And I was like, okay. And there's some homework. And so that's the message. It's not easy. There's homework, and you may take a break from your part-time job, because expect to go home and actually reread and have to do homework when you're at your level one. But it's only 8 weeks. So 8 weeks, you have to set this aside for 8 weeks. And it's doable.
When you're chatting with them, Jodi, I love that you're talking about with them and the kids are understanding the financial side of things and not getting into debt and trying to plan for the future. Are they mostly interested in being tradespeople, or are they mostly interested in being business owners one day? Are they looking at evolving in construction, or basically just staying at a certain trade and working for a company? Is there a lot of interest in being an owner?
I will say, it's everything.
Okay.
Everything. I have some students that um, have been influenced to point in the direction of unionized jobs. So they want to get into the union, again, with family influence. I have some that want to start and own their own business. So they're very entrepreneurial. And one of my students actually made use of government grants last summer, started his own like landscaping company, and like is making money hand over foot, but he wants to be a level one, like he's doing his level one electrical right now. Um, and competitive hockey player. So he has very, very specific goals, and really, really wants to own his own company someday, and has that drive. But like he's only one. So even when Ronald and Eric's student Cam, he basically is sort of seeking out job experiences right now, is doing great and sees what it's like to kind of own a company. And he's walking away from that job just not knowing. Like he's like, oh, I don't know. I see the benefits and I see the pluses and the minuses, but I also see that, I could get a job at Hydro, I could get a job at, in other areas, but just doesn't know.
I can only assume you guys are probably helping the kids market themselves. Like, I mean, they have to understand that when they're going to either a job placement or a job interview, they're marketing themselves. They're a product, they're a brand, they're something. So then are you kind of showing them the best way to approach these conversations or these presentations, or how to be on a site when they first show up, and obviously on time, things like that?
I love that you identify it as what your own brand and your marketing,
Yeah,
because I do spend a lot of time with my students talking about that. So, coming out of COVID, one of my biggest challenges is we all have to show up now. You can't lie in bed and you can't get your lesson from your couch or your sofa. Like everybody is showing up now. And coming out of the gates, the kids were tired.
of course.
Everyone was tired. We were tired because, showing up every day, getting out of your pajama pants was work. So now we've put that behind us. It's in the rear view mirror. And now we're just showing up every day and working. So you can't come in your pajama pants, and your first impression, you've got 4 seconds to make that first impression. So yes, I do spend a lot of time on that. And when we do our pre-placement and co-op, we talk to the kids about what goes on a resume and then what happens at an interview. And I've had many students get the jobs, not because of the skill or any knowledge that they had, but because they were snowboarders, because they were classic car repairers, because they were, competitive world champion billiard players.
Yeah.
And like, I just cannot stress how much we now have to tell kids. These kids are coming from the generation where their parents paid crazy amounts of money for private music lessons, private hockey, competitive soccer. So these kids, like, we're all programmed like crazy, and they have to translate those soccer practices or those hockey practices into their brand. I showed up for practice. I play competitive, played AAA hockey for 9 years of my life. What does that mean for me? It says I'm committed. It says I'm driven. It says I'm a team player. Like, you need to recognize that attribute to you, to your brand, to be employed. And we do connect those two when we talk to students in our pre-placement session.
I love
Yes,
that. I
because
totally love
you know
that.
what you're going to talk about the whole time you're working all day is your hockey,
Yeah.
is your snowboarding.
Yep.
Because guess what? Like, how much knowledge you know about, saws and, hammers and blades is nothing. That's the daily part of the job. How interesting are you? How cool are you? How much do you do stuff? You cannot play video games for the rest of your life. And that is fine to some degree, but you have to sort of build your brand and be something interesting. Kids get it, I think.
And I've actually experienced this, that I've had employers tell me that they'll send somebody home if they don't even say good morning or hello to start the day. If you want to just keep your head down and not talk to anybody, you don't want to be a part of the team. You don't want to be a part of this whole process. And they'll just say, listen, I don't like him or her. And it's a shame, because it's just such a, and the old guys do it too. And I'll get crusty with them. I'm like, I don't care what's going on. Like, I get that we all have personal lives, but it takes nothing to walk on a job site and just say, good morning. How are you? How's it going? How's everything? It takes nothing to do that, and it means so much to be a part of our team, be a part of what we're doing.
And I think employers need to remember too that these kids are just kids.
Yeah.
And if we want them to say hello and good morning, they have to be taught.
Yep.
So they're not coming with all of these basic skills. Maybe something that our parents may have said to us: you must enter someone's home and say good morning. And when you exit someone's home, your friends, mom and dad, then you say goodbye.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. Then you say goodbye. And that same things happen on the job site. These life skills, these this sort of common courtesy, like we have to assume sometimes that they're just kids and they're just kids that really don't know. So the number one complaint I get from employers is that kids don't talk and that they're shy.
Well, listen, the first time I was on a job site wasn't when I was a kid, and I was still in awe, and I could have been just a deer in a headlight looking. I was just I was trying to absorb everything. I was fascinated by what was going on, and I didn't want to be in the way, but I wanted to learn. And then I was trying to figure out who's friendly enough looking for me to speak to and not, have my head bit off or something like that, until I quickly realized, you know what? I'm just going to say it. I'm going to say hello, and I'm just going to introduce myself, and I'm just going to, and that's how it was. And then I just didn't become a loud voice. I just became a voice that I would just be asking questions. And then I quickly learned that in construction, there are no stupid questions. And I really want kids to understand that. Ask as many questions as you want. Like, don't be afraid to ask. Nobody that I know is going to turn around and go, that's a stupid question, get away from me. They're never going to say that, because I think generally good tradespeople want to teach. They want to educate. They want to share. They don't want to head off to the casket and then keep all their secrets. They want to give all that stuff away and give it to the next generation, give it to their family, give it to their coworkers or whatever, and share it, get it out there. So I think that the kids need to find the right opportunity. I think they need to kind of read. It's no different than, I love you brought up the sports analogy. How do they make their best friends on the team? Like, there's a team of dozens of people there, and like, how do you know who's going to be your best friend? You don't know. You kind of have to navigate those waters and try to figure it out. It's the same thing on a construction job site, right? So don't be afraid to speak up and say something.
Yeah. Job sites are hyper stimulating too for kids. And we have to understand that maybe in yours and my generation, like we may have had, I grew up in a farm, so I'm not from the city. So there was like construction happening every day, and it was in my backyard and what I saw. But kids here don't have that. So we spend all this time kind of like prepping them and preparing them and warning them about job safety and like being safe on the job. And so we do a fair amount of WMIS, and we cover that. Kids in Southwestern Ontario cannot be on job sites and construction sites unless they're working at heights.
Yeah.
So they need to have that certification. So there's a part of them that's like scared. Like, like Miss Churney said, don't cut off your hands and legs, and then don't fall. And like, there's a million things that are happening inside their brain. Oh yeah, and say good morning. Right. So there's that too. So keeping them safe and making sure they come home at the end of the day is like a simple thing. But then also kind of making them hyper aware of like, relax, you be you, and like open your mouth and say hello and say good morning. Yeah.
They'll get past that. I mean, they'll get past it and realize that after a few months, they'll be like, hey, I'm way beyond that, right? Which is kind of cool.
Yeah. And I will say too that on most job sites, their coworkers make them feel very comfortable. The coworkers that I have my kids with, there's some women and some young people, so they've been in their shoes before. So that your industry is really changing. So that welcoming is just happening differently because it's so diverse right now.
And then don't forget, anybody who's listening, kid-wise, if you're getting in, if you got some sort of, I guess, specific European background, you will get razzed. It's just how it is. If you mention that you have some sort of Portuguese or Italian or Spanish lineage somewhere in your family tree, it's going to come up as a joke. So just ride the jokes. That's all it is. I want to ask you, Jodi, how is the ratio between female males getting into the industry, kids coming out of high school?
Whoa, it's shifting. Like just this year, I had 2 girls enter into OYAP, and like in my previous years, like 0 to 1. So it's increasing pretty rapidly. I think the money that our government is spending on, the Jill of all trades and enticing women to come into the field is being well spent. That money is well spent because these are women that are driven. ready to work hard and being excellent role models. So I'm excited about the future of women in trades.
What are they mostly interested in? What trades are they looking at? Are they still looking at similar ones that the boys are looking at?
Um, Electrical.
Okay.
I both of the women that I had this semester were both in electrical. I have one student going into bricklaying because it's very artistic and there's lots of art that goes into bricklaying. So there's that. So yeah, I never know. I can't predict what the girls are going to pick. It's
Well, I mean,
exciting.
I love seeing more and more women come into the industry, and I like that it's growing. We're still Canada's still a little bit behind the U.S. There's more female percentage wise in the U.S. side of tradespeople, but I do like that it's growing, and I agree with you that the government is doing some really good things there. The incentives that they're offering. I wish that they would take some of that money and put more of that incentives in just small business owners, and then have them be helped out, because that's what we also hear from business owners. Like they now they have to kind of slow down their business to kind of teach and educate, but they're not being really compensated to do that. And I get it, and I would love to see more of that. But obviously, the commercial, the high rise, the unions, all those players, they're getting all those kinds of incentives, right? I just love to see it more on the small business, because there are a lot of small businesses across Canada that started off as one or two tradespeople, and then they became a business. They branched off from working with somebody, and now they've grown, and they're going to continue to grow, but they need the assistance. And I want to see more of that as well too. But that's a government talk. I don't want to get into that conversation.
I don't know. So, like all of a sudden, I just like this year there was government money put towards kids entering the skilled trades and going from co-op programs directly to work, and it all of a sudden just appeared. So we gave away some bursaries to students at our school for kids that are going directly into work, and it was just like surprise money.
You're talking about the $10,000?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah. There's a lot of that going on.
a lot of surprise money. Like I was like, okay, awesome kids. Like, let's get you in line for this. Like, if there's money out there, I want to find it.
I'm trying to figure out what else do you want to share.
Um, what can what can I leave us with here? Um,
Well, I love the idea of the new, like, okay, listen, I always embrace younger generation getting on a job site, because they are looking at the wooden wheel and trying to figure out how to make it better. And I'll always listen to new ideas. So then I'm always encouraging and embracing looking at the younger generation getting into construction, trying to figure out what are they coming up with, because that's exactly what I did when I got into construction. Is I started looking at what I don't think works and what needs to be improved. And that's how I basically built my business, where you're spending the same amount of time building something one way, and you could actually build it better and spend the exact same amount of time. So why not just build it better that way? So you got this younger generation. I'm sure that they're sitting there, they're going through Instagram, they're going through social, they're probably doing their own Google research and trying to figure out construction techniques, what's going on around the world, and embracing it, and then having that conversation. Why are we not doing more of this? Why are we not doing this? We're starting to see 3D scanning. We're starting to see some modeling on job sites. We're trying to see, and this is all leading to more efficient businesses. So it's like you almost want like Moneyball kids to get into construction to try to figure out how to maximize construction better. Because when we get into construction, we are very much set in our ways. And then it takes almost a drastic event to all of a sudden change our minds. So, I mean, I really am, I want the kids to embrace, come up with these new tech ideas for businesses on the boots, on the ground with their boots, and then also in the office, and then the paperwork side of the business, drawings and things like that, and try to figure out what's going on. Are you thinking the same thing?
Yeah, like I only I only know what comes back to me if kids come back and visit or keep in touch on social media. So when
Speaking
I
of that,
launch
Jody,
them,
that should be a mandate for you guys, that they need to come back and do some homework and to tell you what's going on. Maybe a journal, some sort of, I don't know, OYAP kind of co-op journal that you need to submit and go, this is what happened today, And hopefully it's
Well,
not
I
like,
hope that by using the Instagram, and I do love Instagram because they know that I run the account and they know that they all follow it and they
yeah.
all so like the easiest way for them to tell me what's going on is just by sending me a DM. And I think when they leave, I make it very known that I'm invested in their future and that I love update stories. So I try my best, but sometimes they just don't. I don't know. Like I think um it looks the future looks great. Like I like it's very exciting. I don't know what happens beyond. So like I just kind of launched them and then that's up to you guys to kind of take it from there.
But you
I
love
just think
hearing the
that's
stories of them succeeding and advancing and working in the industry. Like you love hearing about that and finding out that so and so is now doing this and so is now doing that. I mean, that's why we're interested in this thing. Like almost every day I get someone reaching out to me saying that they love this show and they love the conversations that are going on and how it's helped them and how it's pushed them to be better. And I love hearing all that stuff. These are complete strangers that just reach out because they're listening to people speak, and then you're sharing this idea of trying to make the industry better. That's all it is,
and
right?
it's teachers love that too. Like any good teacher is in the business of teaching for the kid and the kid's story. Like I want all the kids to make more money than me, to have, vacations and houses and, cottages and boats and everything that their heart desires. And they'll only get that through hard work.
Yeah.
And I'll only know if they got it if they message me.
Yeah.
So I hope they do. Like, yeah.
They should be mandatory. I want to ask
I
you.
know,
I
I
know we
know.
talked about there's all this new money. There's certain incentives. Do you know of any other programs that the government's offering right now that will help the kids get continue going through construction? Are there incentives that you know of?
Well, I just learned about one the other, like tomorrow's trades.ca. That's new money that's come from, have you heard about that one?
No, I don't know that one. What's that about?
Well, it's an opportunity for kids to kind of enter into a co-op training program. So they're offering this training program for kids that want to enter into the trades. And so what they'll do is they'll take a kid all semester and they circulate through all of the different trades. So they go to the laborers union, the construction, the bricklayers, the sheet metal. So they will, through the entire semester, they're teaching the kids all about all of the different trades, but in a co-op placement. So I'm super excited about the future of that one because it's going to take a specific student that could set aside an entire semester to work with these people. But if it gives a kid exposure to all of the trades, then that's pretty exciting because nowhere would they ever get that. They're going to go to the laborers union and look at what the laborers do. They're going to go to the carpenters union, and then but it's all sort of union exposure. But they're using union tools and union like training facilities, and they're making use of things that already exist, but a company has just said, well, let's take all of those and let's put them all for and to teach kids. So that one's going to be an interesting to watch.
I'm on the fence about that because my first thought is, will that be overwhelming to a kid that's just getting started to get a taste of every single trade? It's just,
I don't
is
know,
that going to be
maybe,
too much to process?
maybe, but
Hey, general contractors, renovation experts, and construction professionals, protecting your business should be a top priority. Your clients require you to have liability insurance as a condition of the contracts you sign. By having construction liability insurance, you not only fulfill those requirements, but also demonstrate professionalism, reliability, and a commitment to your clients' protection. It's a win-win situation for your business. Construction liability insurance is vital to protect you from risks and liabilities that come with your line of work. It provides essential coverage for property damage, coverage for third-party damage or bodily injury, and other incidents that may occur during construction or renovation projects. Visit zensurance.com/save35 for a free construction liability insurance quote and get the comprehensive protection you need.
I don't know. I don't know what the answer is.
It's a
Like
good
we want
idea.
to
It's a
entice,
great idea. I mean,
yeah.
I've joked about it. How like if you want to learn about different trades, just find a job site and get on it, and then start shadowing and paying attention to every trade. But I mean, I could also see the kid being overwhelmed by it. and just,
Yeah.
and then also
And
if they're not interested, they'll just easily walk away from that one trade. Oh, this is not for me. And then that's it, gone. Right. But you haven't really
maybe.
dove into that.
Yeah, I don't know. And then there's also the whole the you're taking a kid and exposing them to like the union environment and the union situation, whereas that's not what the private business owner also has as well. So that's a whole political argument aside, but it's an option. It's coming and it's here, and we have a student entering into that program in the fall. So I'm going to watch that one to see kind of what the outcome is because it's brand new. I really don't know. I just went to a training session. They talked about it. The two guys were there talking about how this is coming and this is an option. They obviously have money to get this business off the ground to
Yeah.
kind of teach, to take a bunch of kids and to move them around to the different unions. So let's see where it goes. I don't know, because I haven't sent a kid through it yet.
Do you know of any? I'm trying to figure out. I know the other conversation that people are having is our labor shortage is happening. So let's bring in more immigrants, and that's what was going on back in the 60s and 70s and 80s. Do you know of what other countries are doing regarding getting kids into the construction force there? Are they doing similar things that we're doing, or are we doing better? Or
I don't know. I can't really speak to that. My school is very, very multicultural.
okay,
So I teach in the southeast portion of London. So there's a high portion of students that are come from multicultural backgrounds. And like the majority of kids from the different multicultural backgrounds are coming with trades. So I don't know if they're coming to Canada as their parents are first generation tradespeople that are coming here um, with trades behind them. I don't know that.
okay. I was just curious about it because I've always had this mindset of why don't we globally just look at which countries are doing what and see what's really working well and then just implement that instead of trying to figure it out on our own when we can actually just speak to somebody else and figure it out. But
Well, that
it's,
would make good sense. But I think for our immigrant situation, we have a lot of immigrants coming here that are coming here and, in crisis situations,
yeah,
like coming from the Middle East
yeah,
and they're just coming to kind of be free, right? So um, they may have owned businesses or been, had skilled trades back in their home country, but are willing to do anything here in Canada just to kind of like begin a new life. So many of my students and their parents were in that boat, basically just coming here and willing to just work. Um,
are you
so
seeing all that diverse multicultural? They're all interested in construction somehow. So it's not just a matter of we're just getting one type of background going into construction. There's a lot of interest from all cultures.
yes,
Okay,
yes, all cultures, yes.
that's great to
Um,
hear.
Yeah. Well, and again, like maybe you say that like what's happening in the GTA is different than what's happening here in London, but London is just exploding multiculturally. So our students they're building, they're wanting to kind of get to work, but many are forced by survival that they have to go to work and they have to get to work because their parents their parents can support them any other way. Like they
Of
need to
course.
support their family, so they're all in it together and they're just willing to work. So it's kind of how they're coming.
Now that you've been in, I mean, you've been at this for a couple of decades. How do you see the next decade rolling out? Do you see us just keep on climbing, and we're gonna actually fulfill this labor shortage? Is that what's gonna happen? Do you honestly believe that?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
Because if you look at the history, that's what happened. Like we just do the ebb and flow of it. Like after the war, we wanted a lot of people to come here to build. And who came here to build?
Yeah.
The Italians, the
And
the
they
Portuguese,
built.
like,
Yeah.
and we did. But, now that we have a different influx of immigrants coming from different countries and they're going to build and we are going to build, we're going to figure this out. It's going to be a bumpy road, but it will happen. So we really have no choice. I think what we just need to make sure that we do in the process is we keep people safe. We keep the standard of living good, that we have good livable wages for workers that are coming to do these hard jobs and that we pay people appropriately for what they're doing. So I really don't want to lose sight of that. We really need to hang on to the value of what our workers in the future are doing. And I think that's important.
No, I agree. Totally. Are the kids coming up? I'm curious. Are they already talking to you about tools and specific brands? Or are they getting all kind of sucked into the Instagram world and what they like or what they want to have or what kind of truck they want to drive? Are they getting into that kind of like the cool aspects of construction?
I don't hear much about tools, but
Good.
maybe
I'm
that's
glad
because
to
I'm
hear
not.
that. That's what I was trying to
Maybe
get
that's because
at.
I'm.
I'm glad.
Well, it's maybe I don't teach the construction class, so
No,
they
no,
maybe
but
don't
I
want to
just
talk
wondered,
tools
yeah,
with
if they're
me.
bringing it up to you, going, listen, Jodi, I'm going to start looking. I want to buy this set. I want to be this color. I want to have this truck or this van or whatever. I'm glad that they're not focusing on that and they're focusing on their career path and options and future and all this other stuff because it's a waste of money to spend all that right now and then. Just
Yeah. I think it's funny because they are the majority of kids are really really scared. So coming out of grade 12, they're intimidated because all of a sudden they've got to launch and they don't know what they want to do and they're confused and they don't want debt because everything costs money. So it's an overwhelming burden of so many things. I don't hear a lot about like I want a fancy, set of
good.
tools or
That's
fancy
so good.
cars. I
Yeah.
just hear like I don't want to go into debt and I need to pick the right thing because I don't want to make a wrong decision because it's way too expensive.
Do you guys have you don't have any tech classes in the high school, do you? You do, right?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
totally do.
Yeah.
Are there, I'm assuming there's more schools in your area that do have that because we don't have that many in Toronto area, right? They're all
I don't
disappearing.
know. Like the government has pushed a lot of money. If you are a school, a high school, the money all right now goes for schools that are offering a specialist high skills major. So an SHSM, some people call it SHISM,
Yeah,
but it's a
yeah.
specialist high skills major. And if you're a school that offers that, then your school gets a specific purse of money. And that money is for reach ahead opportunities for you to train and certify your students in specific areas. At my school, we have a construction SHSM. So kids at my school are given reach ahead activities. And so we put our kids on the job site with working at heights, also first aid, CPR certification. And then there's two or three other certifications that the kids will get when they leave high school. And when they leave high school, they'll have a red seal on their diploma that says they're SHSM trained. And it just provides them with that one more thing that makes them look special to industry and the trades. Because if we can offer SHSM, as a drawing card, kids are taking the option for
They see
sure.
the value. They totally see the value with it. And then the employer
Well,
sees the
yeah.
value with it, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Because they also, part of that SHSM is that they have to do a co-op. So you have to do a co-op attached to this program. But then they also they get field trips and they get training tours and they get guest speakers come in and they have, they get swag. So they get sweatshirts and backpacks and there's a whole branding of, the SHSM culture in different schools because we want to market those programs to have kids come to our schools to take it. So it's a bit of a sort of competition among high schools, like what SHSM do you have? So at my school, we have manufacturing, we have construction, and we have sport and recreation. So kids can take these SHSMs to get these additional reach ahead activities.
Are there
And they
other
will.
things, Jodi, that you can suggest the kids consider while they're going down this path when they first start? I mean, outside of there's already a lot on their plate. Like there's a lot on their plate, but I mean, are there other things that they could look at doing, getting prepared for?
I don't know. I think what I tell kids is get to work. Don't have gaps in your resume. Um, like when kids come to me, many of them in grade 11. So some students will come in grade 11 and they're just barely 16. And remember, you can't
Wow.
really have much of a job. Many employers don't hire you when you're 16, but some are 17 and some are 18. And like my response is get a job, get out there, get a job, and start working at anything. And then if you want to trade, then you need to reach out to employers because they will hire laborers for the summer. they'll hire for the summer. Many construction companies
Yes, they
want
will.
young people to cover vacations, to pick up, like just to be on a job site, to do those extra handy jobs that they need kids to do. Like kids don't understand that that's a good job for the summer. Like you make good money and like just don't sit around. So
And the
that's
people
my
you'll meet,
message.
people you'll meet and engage with, and then you'll never know where that might lead to and what
Yes.
opportunity. Yeah, no, it's if you get out there.
Get out there, get a job, get to work. Yeah.
We're getting close to wrapping up, Jody. Is there anything else you want to share before we get to the 12 questions? We
No,
covered quite a bit. I love what you're doing, and I just so nice to finally meet you and talk. And I would love to see more of it going on in all kinds of schools across all over this country, because that would start to solve the labor shortage automatically. It would
think
just
so.
happen.
And young people are definitely the future, and it's my business. So, like, I'm in the business of kids. So, I just hope your industry continues to welcome them and keep them safe on the job sites, of course. That's a big focus of mine is to keep these kids safe. And then just to also encourage them to be you one day, to be innovative, to be like forward thinking, to kind of like change up things a bit, to kind of make it an appealing and, like an industry that's respected and reputable and like worth it to go into because that's exciting. These kids are coming with like a lot of drive and I mean, teenagers are teenagers, and okay, fine, we can all say that they're, lazy, bad eggs or whatever, but like, I don't see that. I see kids that are like really, really wanting to get to work and really wanting a future, and it's exciting. I hope I hope you get to meet them. I hope you continue to take kids.
Oh, for sure. And I do want to say one last thing is as much as we've been talking about the kids should be more personable and just be open and speak and stuff like that. And all the tradespeople that I know, I've only met a handful of bad apples out there. But if you're ever in a situation that you feel that this is not safe and you shouldn't be doing it just because you're being asked to do it, you can speak up. You can totally
Yeah,
speak up and say and question whether or not this is safe and then not do it. Right. So don't be afraid to basically say that I don't feel comfortable doing this
yeah,
because there are some people out there that run businesses that will want some cowboys and then they don't realize it. But everybody that I've spoken to on the show and everybody that's been on the show, everybody wants to go to work and everybody wants to come home. That's just like safety is paramount, number one priority. That's where it gets started. And then the teaching, educating is second. Right. So
yeah.
you got to be safe. Yeah.
Yeah. That's you're absolutely right. And we do teach them their rights when they come to us in the first couple weeks, and we drive it home each time we bring them back for in class sessions where we kind of debrief what they've been doing while they're on the placement, and we do talk about safety and we do talk about training, and so we are prepping them to come with have eyes on the back of your head and keep safety as your number one priority because you're young and accidents happen. And, like you absolutely have to ask the right questions, but, safety is paramount for sure.
Yep. Cool. All right. Let's get into the 12 questions. Ready for this?
I think so.
Did I thought, yes, I did send it to you. Don't worry. Don't worry. There's no
You
right or
did,
wrong.
but like again, I'm a teacher. I'm not like a
I know, but
contractor.
you're familiar with this world. So then you would have, and I'm sure in your lifetime, you've renovated one thing or another, come across it.
Yes, and my uncles are contractors, and my cousins own a huge contracting company in southwestern
There
Ontario.
you go.
So,
See, so it's
like, I
discussed over
feel like
dinner.
if they
Yes.
hear this, I'll be super embarrassed if I can't come through. So I'll try my best.
Jody, what is your favorite construction word?
Um, Measure,
What's your least favorite construction word?
mistakes.
What turns you on in construction?
I would say the finished product.
What turns you off in construction?
Um, Accidents.
Mm. What's your favorite curse word? We've been keeping it clean. We don't have to swear.
Oh,
You don't have
you
to. I'm
know.
not forcing anybody to swear.
I wouldn't swear, but like I'm a farm kid, so the F word is very common in my culture of people. So,
What's your favorite vehicle? Anything in the world?
well, we have an F-150, so I would say that probably my husband would like me to say that. It's
What's
a
your
truck,
least
yeah.
favorite vehicle?
Um, my least favorite vehicle. Uh,
It's going to be a Dodge now.
Maybe.
That's
Actually,
generally the consensus.
growing up, that was a swear word. Yes, we did not buy
Really?
any Dodges while I was growing up. So actually, maybe that one. Yes, my dad
Okay.
would probably be very proud of me to say that.
What construction sound or noise do you love?
Um, a skill saw, maybe. I just love it. It sort of sings.
It does. What
I would say
construction
that.
sound or noise do you hate?
Um, Pulling out nails,
That little
like
the creaky sound?
like this the sound of like a nail being pulled out,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the high pitch of that drives me nuts.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt one day?
Ooh. Um, Whoa. I don't know.
I
If
mean,
I'm
you
thinking, I do like the skilled trades, and I do like I do actually love the construction industry. I would maybe, what would I like to do? My daughter really wants to become an engineer, and like she's exploring engineering. I really, really would like to see if I never thought I had an engineering mind, but I do like to build things. So if like maybe I would
engineering.
say engineering.
Sure.
Yeah, maybe.
What profession would you not like to do?
I think nursing. I always thought I'm an empath. I like to care about people. But it's the whole the blood piece of it that doesn't sit well with me. So I think nurses
So you want to get into
are
construction.
angels. What's that?
You want to get into construction.
Well, yeah, yeah, sure.
Last question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at those pearly gates?
Welcome.
That's all he needs to say. Jodi, thank you very much for being on the show. Really appreciate your time. I know you got a busy
Thank
day
you
ahead,
so much.
I'm
I
so glad
can't.
that the guys introduced us. I'm so glad.
Yes, like I just didn't think that this was going to be a page in my resume, but like what you do is amazing. And I
Thanks.
think it's so great that you're taking the construction industry to this next level and you're getting out there, you're spreading the word, and this is how to do it. So well done. I
Thank you.
really appreciate it, Manny.
I like to say that I have nothing to do with it. It has everything to do with the guests. I just pick guests that I want to have a conversation with and just share the information. That's all it is. But no, I love what the show has become. I love what it's sharing, and it's definitely educating a lot of kids out there and also adults. They're getting it. They're trying to figure it out. But it's just about giving back. That's all it is. It's just about sharing and giving back and moving on, right?
Well, this is definitely the way to do it. And people listen to podcasts and they have them going while they're working and while they're playing. And it's a way for them to kind of hear about what is happening now.
Yes.
So
Yes.
well done. Well done.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Jodi. So again, Department Head of Co-op Studies at Wilfrid Laurier Secondary School in London, and her email is j.churney at tvdsb.ca, and it's on Instagram at SWLSSCOOP. I think that's it.
All
Thank
right.
you. Don't go anywhere just yet. Thanks, Angeline. We're out of here.